Hello, what is up you guys? Summer Penny here. Welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I was doing my makeup and I mentioned that I quit my dream job. I decided to dedicate an entire video to it, so I'm going to do my makeup, and I got a lot of questions about why I quit and what was my job or what was the dream job, so I'm going to share all that while doing my makeup. So I guess I should start by saying what my big girl dream job was. I am an advanced care paramedic, and I work for a large government organization in healthcare. My dream was to work in paramedicine until I retired, to be a well-respected, seasoned paramedic. My plan was to be there for a long time. Like, I come from a healthcare EMS family. My dad's a firefighter paramedic. My mom's a nurse in Emerge, and never did I expect that the things that happened would happen and ultimately lead to me leaving. I was bullied out of this huge government-run organization. Some backstory, because you're going to need it. Healthcare is already a very challenging career on mental health. It's one of the highest careers with like divorce rates, substance abuse, sleep issues. So it's a taxing career. The point I was trying to make is that this career has a very high rate of burnout. The typical career span in my career is 5 years. So morale is low. You have a bunch of overworked, underpaid, tired people. They're grumpy. Not everyone. I work with some amazing people, but you know, that's the culture. Because of my family being in healthcare, I spent a lot of time preparing for what I thought would be the biggest battle of my job, mental health. So I spent a lot of time like preparing to combat PTSD and, you know, that kind of stuff, because I thought that would be what was challenging of my job. But I was wrong. So the first incident that happened was during COVID times. So many like changes at work. It was a scary time. And my therapist suggested that I do something that brings joy to work. And we talked about how can you do that? What does that look like? And for me, that looked like humor. Every year I host this annual Halloween bash. So I had these crazy nails for this Halloween bash. I couldn't do anything at work. My partner and I thought it was funny, and I took a little video POV from my hands. And at no point in this video did I show my employer. That video was in breach of policies that I did not know at the time. So I was pulled in to be investigated for this situation. And it was then that I found out who reported me, because the organization straight up told me. And like in my letter, that like, you're being investigated because so-and-so reported you for such and such post on such and such day. So that was when I was able to look up her name, and she never followed me. I've never worked with her, never met her. She never engaged with any of my content. But because I have a business account, I have like archived things. I was able to go back into the archives of my stories and see that she was watching my stories from January until Halloween, the end of October, and into November before I found out. And at this meeting, they brought up like 5 things that happened throughout the span of those 10 months, and none of those things were in breach of policy. They just brought them up because they have a diligence to do so. And that's when I was like, you guys, she was watching me for 10 months. That sounds a little stalkerish and like harassment to me. And they said, she seems to be coming from a good place. She seems to be coming from a place of concern about the policy breaches. So that was just the first time with that organization where I never really felt believed. If she had good intentions, then maybe she would have messaged me privately and positively and said, hey, I don't think this video is very appropriate. And we could have had a positive discussion about it, and she could have let me know of any policy breaches. Instead, she watched me for 10 months, didn't say or engage with any of my content, and continuously took screenshots. After this incident, something that I found particularly difficult and triggering was that I was not allowed to speak to anyone of the public or other about this situation. So I could not tell my friends, I couldn't tell other colleagues at work, I wasn't even allowed to come home and tell my spouse. Which everyone obviously comes home and does that because that's just wild. Why would you not tell something to your partner or your family? So that felt extremely isolating. I felt extreme paranoia. I started feeling a lot of anxiety, like someone's watching my page and I don't know who, and I don't know what for. What other things are they gonna find? This is way too much. I wanted a skinny wing. FML. But you know, whatever, I learned my lesson. I didn't post work-related things anymore. I blocked that girl, but I was really struggling with a lot of paranoia, and I was frustrated at how my employer didn't see this as stalking and harassment. But time moved on, another year, maybe 2 years pass, and then the next dramatic thing to happen was going to a very serious call. Yeah, it was a 14-day-old respiratory arrest is how the call came in. Our butts are puckered for this call. This is a big call. And we noticed at some point in the day that our mapping system was lagging. It was a little slow and lagging. And we were still getting by with it. But by the time this call came, I was having difficulty navigating the driver to this event. And the driver was a new employee, so he didn't know where we were going. So I punched the address into my personal phone because the mapping system was having issues and got us to the event. My partner that I had that day reported me to my employer for using my phone on a call, even though I used it to get to the event. She reported me for using my phone. What's important here is that she reported me for a plethora of policies that are mundane policies that everyone breaches every day, but I was just continuously being the black sheep getting punished for them. Because it was a second phone-related offense, I was written up and suspended without pay. Even though I used my phone to get to a 911 call, even though I had good intentions, it was another phone-related offense. There were other petty complaints in between this, like a nurse reports you because of a triage report you gave, and then that goes on your file. Just like petty little personality conflict stuff that were happening. And for a long time, I was beginning to think like, maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe it's me. I just need a fucking clean brush here, people. Again, I tell myself, you know what? You can learn from this. You can grow from this. But yeah, it was really affecting my mental health, the paranoia, the agitation, the not knowing if people are watching me just to report me, not knowing if I can trust people and people who I'm working closely with. And then, this girl, she worked 3 days with me, didn't say anything about taking my radio and pouch off to go to the bathroom, but reported me for it. So it was like a lot of agitation and paranoia. After that situation, I was then partnered with a notorious bully at work. Literally, she's notoriously known for being a girl that was so sweet to the exact opposite of it. And I decided to reduce my hours to part-time. My mental health was poor. My work life was not good. So thank God for my partner. He took on more of our bills so that I could reduce to part-time and really work on my mental health and help my career. And that during this time, I was partnered with the big work bully. I told her about this report. I told her, you know what, I just got in trouble for this. I'm really trying to be on top of it now. If you catch me slipping up, please just let me know. I'm trying to be better. And she thought it was preposterous. She thought it was outrageous that someone would report me for that. Meanwhile, she went and spoke to that person who reported me for it the first time, the call where I used my phone. She went and spoke to that person and treated me like shit for 3 days. I went home crying after every single shift. She was cruel, not collaborative or cooperative, cold, so mean. She kept notes on me for 3 days. She wouldn't, we're supposed to be partners. You're supposed to back your partner up when they're driving the ambulance, fill in certain things into the reporting system to help them out. She was just doing none of the partner duties. And I called in sick to my shift because I was so literally afraid of facing her. And spent the days off, like, preparing myself to confront her, to say something. And I never got to because she reported me and said that I did what the last girl said again. She reported me for a number of things. She reported me for, like, the smallest thing, you guys. Like, she said I went through an intersection with my lights and not my sirens both on. I was missing one of them. She said that I spoke to an officer rudely. She said that I did this thing again that another girl reported me for. And so again, this organization went, oh, second offense with the same complaint? Strike, suspension, no pay. So even though I called in sick to work, was telling people that I'm being bullied, was texting other colleagues about what should I do with this bully and getting advice because I didn't want to rat her out and go right to management. I wanted to try and have a face-to-face with her. And before I could even do that, she reported me for a plethora of things and lied. And this organization said, based on a balance of probabilities, it was more likely that I re-offended than it is that I'm telling the truth. Now, a pertinent piece of information about me. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I was in a domestically abusive relationship. He assaulted me, like, physically, emotionally, psychologically. He was arrested and removed from my home. I had to go to court and testify against him. So some things that are triggering for me are not feeling believed, being accused of things before I am asked, like simply just ask, like, hey, did this happen? Instead of like, why did you do this? Those are some really triggering things for me. So I was already just starting to feel not believed by this organization. I would tell the truth and they still wouldn't believe me. In the outcome meetings, when they would suspend me without pay, their reasoning would be based on a balance of probabilities, based on the history on your file, and based on a lack of remorse. I have been in those meetings and I have cried, like ugly cried, sobbing, and had to go home emotionally unwell, and have been told that I did not seem remorseful. I have gone into those meetings and have been stone cold, hard-faced bitch, and I have been told that I don't seem remorseful. Remorse is subjective at best. Like the girl that reported me for using my phone to get to the infant call, she said that I didn't appear to be trying to solve the issue. I didn't appear to be trying to fix it. Just because I may be calm and high stress does not mean that I'm not freaking out internally. It just means that I'm able to control it so that I can do this call safely and calmly. I cannot tell you how many times I've been accused of not acting like I'm caring enough. But I don't know if that's just survivor from violence. I don't know, maybe I'm stoic. I don't know. But I just truly did not feel believed, protected, or safe in this organization at that time. And to believe it or not, it even got worse. Oh, I keep forgetting to turn my light on. Again, I was told I was supposed to be refrained from speaking to anyone from the public, family or other, colleagues or other than my union rep and the managers involved. So again, I just felt alone, not believed, isolated. I felt like no one liked me. I felt like a terrible paramedic. Like, why are these things happening to me? And I was really beginning to think that it was me. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I had a therapy session with my therapist, and she told me, like, she agreed that she thinks this stuff seems more targeted. And there's a pattern here. So she agreed that she actually thinks it's something called in-grouping versus out-grouping. So anthropologically speaking, we would do everything for survival of the species, and anyone that didn't do anything along with that was out-grouped. They were an outsider, right? So anthropologically speaking, I don't think any group came together and they were like, we're going to do this against summer. No. But in-grouping versus out-grouping, EMS is a very small, big family. Everyone kind of knows everyone. Rumors spread fast. People talk a lot. And if you're not like a full-time, diehard EMS paramedic whose like entire identity revolves around being a paramedic, and if you have anything on the outside of that, then you're an out-group. So me, I have my beauty business and I reduced my hours to part-time. And so I was doing things to isolate myself away from the group, hoping to get away from bullying. And honestly, I might have even just made myself more of a target because it just got worse. I thought reducing to part-time would help. It didn't. I'm not trying to boast or brag when I say this. I'm just, social media is a highlight reel. And if you look at my social media blankly, you see this girl who lost 40 pounds and got engaged and went to Disney and has a beauty business and got to reduce her hours, and she looks so happy on socials. So maybe that's why they hated me. I don't know. But all of these people that these things happen with, I never met them. I never worked with them before. They're all policies that everyone breaches every single day. I've had partners every single shift do the exact same things that I were doing. I was just getting reported for it. So the final straw for me was I also figure skate. And I remember this one at the time when I was more full-time. I did shift work. So my shift was 4 on, 4 off, that kind of style. And I figure skate on set days of the week. And so I remember this one skating day, if skating and work fell on the same day, I just wrote it off. There's no way I could overtime, too many factors. This particular day, I got off work in just enough time to make it to the rink. Leave directly from work, go right to the rink, and I can make it. So because I never even planned to get to practice from the beginning, I didn't have a change of clothes. So I went to work in my uniform. This was in February, March, so it's still cold out. And I'm going on a cold rink, so I worked out in my part of my work uniform until I was warmed up enough, and I took my jacket off. I'll share the video and show you. Again, someone who doesn't follow me, I've never met, I've never worked with, they don't engage in my content. They commented something snarky, and the comment itself did not hurt my feelings. I don't actually care, but other paramedics started engaging with it, liking it and responding to it. And I also have a social media policy where I call it name and shame. So if you're gonna be a bully publicly, then I'm just gonna screenshot that and share that to my stories and call you out. So that's exactly what I did. Did not engage with them, just screenshotted and put it to my stories and was like, hey, these are paramedics and this is the behavior they're exhibiting. This is the kind of toxic behavior that makes it pour on people's mental health at work. This behavior needs to stop. Anyway, these people got upset about looking bad publicly. Maybe don't post mean shit if you don't want to look bad publicly. After that, I had an outpour of messages from people saying, very generic things don't let the haters get to you. Only insecure people do the keyboard warrior thing. Wow, can't believe that, So I posted those screenshots with the intent of helping anyone else in the community who may be suffering with haters in the comments, mean comments. My rosacea is flaring up probably because this is stressful and bringing feelings back. So I actually immediately reported this person because, again, in my experience with this organization, anytime that I have not reported first, I was not believed. And again, I felt like this is a waste of supervisors' managers' time, but I have a bad feeling about this, so I reported him. And I just said, hey, this happened. I don't know who this person is. I didn't even know that they were an employee of the same organization as me. They work in a different city for the same organization. And yeah, I was just letting you guys know this is what happened. I don't want to report him, but just be aware of this. And we looked into it. My video was technically in breach of a policy. Our policy states that you are not to do anything other than work duties in your uniform. So that means you can't even go home and get gas after work or pop into the store to get bread and milk. You could take a picture of any paramedic grocery shopping and they are in breach of policy if they are doing that in their uniform. So even though the video was harmless, it was in breach and I was ordered to remove it. And I posted another screenshot. That one is what got me in trouble. It was a comment about domestic violence regarding the person who made the mean comments. And as a domestic violence survivor, I stand with victims. And so I was like, oh, T, posted that to my stories. I removed he, him, they, hers, names, like it was very anon, but because it was in line with all these other posts, my employer said one could infer that it was about him. He reported me to my employer for all those screenshots and said that I was bullying and harassing him. So I was yet again suspended without pay, and he was promoted to supervisor. Yeah, let that sink in. And in between all of these things happening, I had my direct reporting supervisor tell me that he thinks I'm too emotional. Then I had a next direct reporting supervisor, and I had a friend call me, and he said, "Hey, what did you ever do to this supervisor? He is not a fan of you." And I said, "Pardon me? Like, what?" My next direct supporting supervisor was then spreading slanderous rumors about me to other partners that I had. He was quoted to have said, "I know Summer and I know her backstory." I've never met this supervisor. I've never had a professional interaction with him. So what story does he know of mine? So this proved again that this organization is against me. And then in the skating video incident where I was clearly targeted with intent, and I was the clear victim here, I was asked by HR, "How do you think he feels?" Because I shared screenshots that people could infer to be about him after he did something that was ill-intended and shady. So I had actually blocked him. Funny point. I blocked him on Instagram immediately after that. Like after I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning for work to those comments and those engagement from other paramedics. So like that was shitty to wake up to. So I blocked him immediately and reported him and went to work and ended up going home early because it was just a shitty day with all that stuff going on. The next day, he messaged me on Facebook, sending me threats, and told me that he knows more people in Edmonton than me, and he has people watching my page for him to let him know what I'm up to. And I sent that to my employer as well, and they said, no, I was the one that was bullying and harassing. Okay. And then they promoted him to supervisor. I've honestly never heard of anything like this before in my life. I know that these sound so stupid, and it's because they are. This is literally the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. I knew that, high school doesn't really end. People are still, there's still bullies in the workplace, that kind of stuff. I just spent so much time preparing for what I thought I would need, which was like PTSD prevention and help. You know what I mean? I spent so much time preparing for that, and that wasn't even the thing that took me out of my career. It was not being able to go back to an organization that continues to protect abusers. I literally have friends who have been assaulted sexually by other colleagues, and they don't fire these employees. They separate them from platoons, and these people are allowed to continue working there. That bully that made me cry every day for 3 days, she would brag about how she had to do like an anger management class because of like how she was treating people and getting reported for it. Like laughing about it like it's some joke. Obviously she has not changed or cared, and she's allowed to be here still, So I don't feel safe going to this place of work where I know I'm surrounded by people who are abusers. And that's not to say everyone is like that. I have some amazing friends that I've worked with and met there. There's some amazing paramedics, people that I would totally want to come to my rescue should I need. But I just think it's super alarming that this is the behavior of our paramedics and the organization that employs them. And if you don't know, like where I live, if you don't want to be a firefighter, if you don't want to have fire training as well, this employer is kind of your only option if you also don't want to work away from home, like fly in, fly out kind of stuff. So this employer knows that, and they use and abuse. I would do 12-hour shifts without breaks, without meals, without seeing a station. Ultimately, that was my last straw. That was when I was like, okay, I cannot continue to be here. I feel on edge every single day returning here, waiting for like one more strike or something, one more report, one more person that I'm just gonna rub the wrong way, or one post that's gonna piss someone off. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I had no work friends, no one to talk to. I couldn't talk to anyone about this. I couldn't offload to anyone about it. I was forbidden from speaking about it. No matter if I cried or was stoic, or no matter what I did, they already had their mind made up about me. And it was evident in this history. So that was my final straw. And since then, I have been looking for other job opportunities. And finally, one came. So I handed in my resignation to my dream job. I'm still staying in healthcare. I still teach in healthcare, and I'm still passionate about paramedicine and helping people. I truly am. I can't continue working at that organization. Things didn't go the way that I planned, and they're not always gonna go the way that we plan. And no job is worth your mental health. So I guess if you took anything from this video, I hope you took something from this video. I don't know what the final lesson is. Is it no job is worth your mental health? Is it do what's best for you? Is it don't be on social media and post your life because your colleagues will hate you for it? I don't know. Paramedicine can still be a very rewarding career. So if you have any questions about the career or anything like that, feel free to ask me. I'm still very passionate about my job. Some setting powder. If you've experienced in-grouping versus out-grouping, if that's something you're going through, if it's something you've seen before, leave a comment, let me know. I'm all ears. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm an open book. I'm gonna finish my makeup and come back and show you. I really wanna add like a coral blush. I'm gonna list all the products down below. And I'm also gonna wear like a coral dress. It feels so freeing to no longer be silenced by threats and policies from this organization, to just speak freely about the work conditions and the things that I experienced. Even though I'm still trying to be very careful, it just feels so freeing. If you work in healthcare, Godspeed. Oh my god, this lip gloss literally matches my eye exactly. It's Omrizi and Pretty Little Thing. I think it's 03 Autumn. I'm going with Summer Glow Beauty. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I hope this comes across in the way that I want it to. I just wanted to bring more light to the situation of burnout and compassion fatigue, and also like workplace bullying, and that your dream job may not go the way that you plan, and that's okay. Charlotte Tilbury, Nude Kate. Now I'm gonna top it with that gloss, and then I'm gonna put on a pretty orange dress and go make cacio e pepe for my fiance. Video on that tutorial coming. So check out my Insta for cooking videos in an obnoxious dress, just cause. Romanticizing my life, why the fuck not?